Let's get into this. I wanted to share my thoughts with y'all about some local stuff. Thought it was a good backdrop to share a few good messages. But just getting into it, over the course of, over the past 2 weeks, I was asked a couple of questions. One of them was just a couple days ago, actually. I was sent this little snapshot. I'll talk to y'all about it. But I was asked a couple of questions in between me making some of these various different other videos. I've been making videos for years about KCATA and various different other Kansas City local operations, but as of the past 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks, I've made a number of videos as of recent regarding KCATA. And so just getting into it with this one, first I was asked about KCATA implementing pay. All right. KCATA has went on record to suggest that their plan moving forward, one of their plans moving forward is to implement pay to ride again. All right. Although they're not really clear on what it's going to look like. So they want to implement that, but they're saying that it's going to take 6 months or more from what I'm hearing. And some folks wanted my thoughts on it. Well, first and foremost, them saying that it's going to take like 6 months, that's a bunch of nonsense. All right, like I say, man, one of the things about modern times, man, when it comes to these politicians and these people up in position, they just done got to the point like, they just say whatever, man. All right, and the expectation is that they're not going to be held accountable for it. It's not like, you're not going to find out that they full of BS, but it's just that they're not going to be held accountable for the BS. That's what it's been looking and sounding like to me, okay? Because when they tell you about how it's going to take them 6 months to get that implemented, that's a bunch of nonsense. When you think about the last time they had pay to ride implemented, most people did it from their phone. You just bought it on your app, okay, and you showed the bus driver when you got on. It wasn't even, the machines weren't even being used heavy anymore. A lot of times the machines were shut down anyway, and the driver would just be like, show me the deal on your phone, okay? So, that don't even make sense when they say that. Like, most people were doing it on their phone, and for those that don't have a phone or whatever, all right, which is rare out here, because you got even homeless people got cell phones with service, okay? But for those that don't have it, okay, they can have a card or something like that, and they can just show the driver and get on. That's something that could be done in place, okay, until they set up machines that can accept payments, even though I believe that shouldn't be necessary. You shouldn't have to make that kind of $1 million investment into the buses when you can just literally bypass that and go to the app, okay? So that whole nonsense about them saying that, and I believe I want to give them the benefit of the doubt on that and say, I believe they know that, okay? But they don't want to really get it up and popping for real, because that whole pay to ride, it puts a wrench in their whole homeless hobo hustle that they're running, okay? Because that's what it's about, man. People riding the bus for free, that's not about the constructive people of this city. That's about these homeless folks, okay? That get up and be out here and they ain't doing nothing, okay? That is 100% what it's about. But I think that it would be a positive thing. Okay, some people are talking about, well, it doesn't make up enough money. Something is better than nothing for starters. And then after that, it's gonna cut down a lot of the nonsense that goes on out here. That both the drivers, all right, and the riders that are actually out here to take care of business and stuff have to deal with. All right, because people are just on the bus because they can get on the bus for free. Okay, being on the bus being a disturbance one way or the other, whether they're just acting up, disturbing the driver got to stop all the time, or they're just smelling up the bus. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Among other things, man, that implementing pay would cut down that. It would also cut down these people just being out here. Like, for example, when y'all see this right here, this kind of stuff should be contained. All right, now this was shared by a driver. All right, some old trifling woman out here, or female out here, let me get that right, sitting out here changing her clothes in the middle of nowhere. All right, and this is what you see on the daily from them. Okay, by the way, from them. They be out here just like anybody else or worse. One of the main reasons why they don't like having the real reason why people are out here homeless, okay, is because they want to talk about how a lot of them are out here homeless like this and stuff because they got serious drug and behavioral problems. Okay? And you be surprised, man, a lot of these people that you see out here like this homeless, messed up, some of these white folks, alright, they done fell away from the suburbs somewhere. Okay? You know what I'm saying? That dope man be getting them real messed up, but stuff like this needs to be consigned. This and stuff like you got a lot of these, especially these layover areas, man, that are just full of garbage, man. Alright? And one of the main reasons why is because they can freely just get over into these places and these areas and do what they do. And the city of Kansas City, including that mayor, they don't even pull up and clean up their mess that they created, because these are messes that are created by this administration working with KCATA. And so yeah, man, implementing pay would make a lot of difference. It would definitely make the services more efficient. But so I just wanted to talk about that one. Moving on though, I was past these statistics here. Okay. Just like last time, I think this dude, Frank White III, who is currently the CEO of KCATA, he went to Washington, and then when he went to Washington, he came back with this nonsense. Okay, it's the same thing that happened last time when he went to Washington with that other administration, and he came back sharing a bunch of statistics that were just a bunch of BS. Okay, and this ain't no different. So my thoughts on it is, like, for example, when they talk about completed trips, okay, what does that mean though? You know, that doesn't mean look, you'll never get them to sit down and break this down about what these numbers mean, because what you'll find is that they'll be getting into a bunch of nonsense that don't mean nothing, a bunch of cap. Okay, because when they talk about completed trips, I mean, what's the definition of a completed trip? All right, if the bus is late, not on time, or somebody had to wait for another bus or whatever, I mean, okay, yeah, the trip was completed, but how was it completed? Okay, you know what I'm saying? Because when you get into that statistic ain't about nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? Because KCATA, they might be complete trips, but when you talk about how they complete trips, man, that statistic is in a trash can. Okay? You know, the saying, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it, that rings strong when it comes to when they say that right there. Because if we get into that, they ain't doing all too good. And so just wanted to hit on that one. On-time performance, major cap. This is major cap right here. 86.1, absolutely not. Okay, you might be talking about less than 50% of the time KCATA is on time. Okay, one of the reasons why they don't have set schedules no more. Now Kansas, they still do have them here and there, and they try their best to adhere to them, and a lot of times they make it. You know, when you see them over on the Missouri side, because Kansas, a lot of times they hit over on the Missouri side to pick up, but they primarily drive in Kansas. They try to hit, but over on the Missouri, they don't even have that no more. And the main reason why is because they ain't really never on time. And that's just the truth of the matter, man. Sometimes the more important buses are not even showing up. Okay, I've made a recent complaint just recently about KCATA. Man, the first buses coming out is some of the most important buses. Okay, that riders depend on. And when you talk about the first buses, of course, the riders are going to be people who are trying to get out here and take care of business, go to work and stuff like that. A lot of time KCATA ain't even bringing them out. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, you know, when it's like that, you know, you would think that the least they could do is let riders know within 24 hours, in my opinion, it should be 24 hours that a bus is not going to be showing up. Truth of the matter is, riders don't really know that these buses are not going to show up, or they're going to be extremely late until the bus don't show up at the time that these people are told that it's going to show up. Okay, so on-time performance, that's a bunch of nonsense. And I've told you all before, like, a lot of their veteran drivers just be late. Okay, and you could do an experiment yourself. I mean, get out here on some of these buses and utilize that app that they tell you to utilize. You'll see a whole bunch of nonsense. Okay, and I mean, that app be going through a whole bunch of nonsense, and the reason why is because it can't accurately track those buses because they're never on time, for real. Okay, so that's a bunch of nonsense. They're not on time, and a lot of times they ain't even running. And in the KCATA will pull up like they've been saying for years. Well, you know, we don't got drivers and this and that. Well, maybe you need to get better at your recruiting. Okay, you need to get better at your recruiting. Maybe that's the case. And so, just hitting on that, but that's a bunch of nonsense, that on-time performance. And then after that, talking about rider satisfaction, that's a bunch of bullshit. Okay, you know, I had to slip up and say that right there on that one. That's major cap. How can you say that you're exceeding rider satisfaction? And right now, the topic of conversation is you don't even know what your routes are going to be looking like from day to day. Okay, you know, one day you're saying this, one day you're saying that. One day they say they're going to cut that iris, next day they say they ain't going to cut it when they should cut it. All right, and most of the city agree, but it's that, you know, you got whole different counties out here that have in places that have cut KCATA services because of the professionalism of KCATA. Okay, how are riders satisfied, dude? This is a bunch of nonsense. Okay, you know, they talking about above average for the National U.S. Transit Agency. This is a bunch of nonsense. And if that even meant something, all right, that ain't saying a lot about just ATA in general. But I believe that it's a bunch of nonsense. Okay, because if that's the case for here, I would like to see what the statistics say about Kansas. Because Kansas, they run a much more professional operation. Okay, and I was just made aware by the few of the drivers over on this side that they don't really have anything to do with the Missouri side of things, which means that this dude Frank White, he don't really have much influence or control over what they do on the Kansas side, and you could tell, okay? You know, because what I thought was interesting is they are trying to put his face on all of this stuff like it's supposed to mean something. I mean, you know, you see his face, you should know not to take nothing seriously. But yeah, man, this is a bunch of nonsense right here, okay? You know, rider satisfaction is not up. KCATA is not on time like that. And them telling you that they completed 98% of the trips, that don't mean nothing, okay? You would expect for them to complete most of the trips, okay? That's what they're in the business of doing. That don't even make no sense. How are they completing the trips though? You know, if you were to go outside and ask people, which we plan on doing, you know, what do they think about these statistics? Or what do they think about KCATA's professionalism just in general when you talk about delivering a quality top tier service? All right, it ain't gonna reflect what you see right here. All right, but I just wanted to go ahead and speak on those few things, man, that I was asked. Those are my thoughts. Brianna.